No, I just like to be able to see people.
The sunshine helped though.
Board ready?
Ready?
I'll call this December 15th meeting of the Design and Planning Commission to order. And if you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll start with the review of the meeting minutes from November 3rd, work session minutes. Do I have a motion or any changes or modifications to that?
Mr. Chair, I have a
Yes.
question on page 2, the third paragraph where it says that I spoke about the definition of the forecourt, and Mr. Tate referred to Green Oaks Apartments as an example. Does that say Garden Oaks?
Yeah. That's
Probably, I mean,
I think that's what I remember you
Okay.
saying. Yeah.
Could be Garden
Yep.
Oaks.
so that would be
Okay.
changed.
Any other comments? I'll take a motion.
Move approval.
Take a second.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. And that's unanimous.
I am going to abstain because I was not at that meeting.
Oh, the,
Work session, I was not there.
oh, okay, thank you. One abstention.
No, I wasn't there either. So I have to abstain, sorry.
Okay, I have two abstentions. I still have a majority.
quorum.
I still have a quorum and a majority. So, that's passed. Now we'll move to the November 17th regular meeting minutes. Any modifications or a motion on that?
I didn't see them in my packet, so.
Got a cover sheet, but not the minutes.
Yes, cover sheet, but no minutes.
Yeah,
So we'll have to wait, I guess.
yeah, we'll have to put that in later.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any questions related to military operations? Anybody online?
None.
Thank you. Before we move to new business, it's been requested that we make a slight modification to the agenda. So I would like to suggest, if the board's willing to go ahead and move the election of officers for 2026 to the next agenda item. Following that, we would also go to the board or to the election of the Historic District Task Force representative from the board. Those two positions then would not take effect until our January 21st meeting. So if the board is willing to make those modifications, I'll take a aye, or
Sounds good.
everybody
Sounds good.
okay with that?
I agree.
Okay.
Great.
We're going to go ahead and move those up. So let's move to the election of officers for 2026. And Kurt, would you take over the meeting for that, please?
I think you can still chair it.
I don't know, in the past, we've always let staff
Oh.
run the elections, so
Okay. Well, I think we just need a nomination of someone for chairman of the planning commission.
I would move, we reelect Mike Tomey's been an excellent leader and he's been putting in the time for quite a while. It's a lot of work involved and I trust you'd be willing to continue to go beyond the call of duty again.
I would be happy to accept.
Is there any other nominations? Well, then I think you should vote for the first nominee. And then if there's no other, not a majority, then we would look for another nominee. So I guess everybody who raised of hands of who would vote for Mr. Tomey as chairman. Okay, so it's unanimous. So then we have the vice chairman position. I think we just need a nomination or multiple nominations, and then the same thing, we'll just vote.
I'd like to continue with Bill Bardenlopper as the vice chairman, if that's acceptable to the board. I think he's done a great job so far. I'll second that. Raise a hand.
Are there any other nominees? Anybody want to self-nominate? No. Okay. All right, well, if there's not, then I guess we just need to vote by show of hands of everybody for Bill Barton. And then for the ever exciting desired position of secretary, I guess nomination and then, or nominations.
I'd like to continue to nominate Kimberly.
Thank you,
Really does
Mr.
a great
Tony, but
job.
I appreciate that, but I would appreciate it if you would nominate someone else. I've been doing it for a while. It is a good amount of work and my life has changed in the last year or so. So it's a time commitment that I feel stressed by. So if someone else would step up, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Kimberly. I still think you have done a great job.
Thank you.
Done too good a job.
We don't want to lose you.
Any other
volunteers?
nominations? Any volunteer?
Well, I guess we shouldn't hold whoever succeeds Kimberly to the same standard and maybe we get somebody to step to the plate.
Enough committees.
Or you can nominate someone that's not expecting it.
Oh, Libby's plate is pretty full, but
Well, a member of the staff isn't, I mean, who does the minutes? Kimberly. does.
Julie does the minutes.
Julie does them, and your job is basically to review them. And I will say that there's been recordings have been a lot better in the last few months, so that it becomes much easier than it used to be. But it's still a commitment.
and gee, have you got any interest jumping in?
I mean, I'll do it if it's somebody else is actually doing it. I'll do it.
Yeah, so Julie's doing it, and I realized that she didn't finish the minutes because I was asking her to do a full transcript for the last sketch plan because you weren't vesting in the projects. That's why that was late. But yeah, Julie does the minutes. So
I'll nominate.
well, if there's a vote, since she's self-nominated, pretty sure this
Sort
will
of.
be a. If there's any by a show of hands who votes for Ms. Anderson to be
For Libby.
all right, a landslide. And then we have the vote for representative to the historic kind of committee, action committee there, advisory committee. So I think, and that's to kind of recommend maybe changes to the historic district that could involve a lot of things to the city council. And we'd probably meet at least quarterly, but maybe even monthly. So if anybody has just so
I
everybody's aware.
recommend Chairman Tomey again for that. I mean, candidly, he's been sort of running the meetings and I don't know if that group will still look to him for that purpose, but he's been, from my sitting in on those things, he's been critical to the success thus far of that committee.
Is there any other nominations? Okay, I guess show of hands for Mr. Tomey to be the representative.
Now, Bill, aren't you going to be
Okay,
the
Kurt.
second?
I think,
Is that
secondary.
committee the officially convened?
This is the officially convened committee.
Okay,
So
Kurt,
they're,
is there a charter for this committee?
yeah, there was a resolution adopted by the city council a few months
What they're
ago.
going to do.
And
and I think it.
they're
came
doing
before.
interviews in January for the citizens. So it'll be a citizen-led committee. There's the majority of 5 members are citizens and they all have to live in the historic district. And 4 are, I guess, appointed, including a member of the PC and a member of the HRP. So,
But the scope of work is what has been, there is a resolution that can be found online. I just wanted.
yeah, I mean, the scope is somewhat general, but it's essentially to guide the city council and changes in the historic district or just any kind of, guidance. in that district.
Well, thank you. And I'll continue to keep the board updated on the progress of that, as I hope you continue to do so, because we're not letting you off the hook either,
Okay.
Bill or Bill.
Or Bill. I got it.
Oh, you might.
got 2 bills.
Oh, your other job, yeah.
My other
2
job.
bills on.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And we'll just go ahead and move on now to new business and sketch plan for Beaufort FSED and FCC.
All right. Good afternoon, Chairperson, Chairman Tomey, and fellow commissioners. We're here today for 396 Robert Smalls Parkway. The request is for sketch plan approval for the development of a new freestanding emergency department, in short FSED, and a patient care clinic, shortened PCC, by Novant Health. The applicant is Mr. Connor Blaney with Ward Edwards, the engineering firm behind this. Ward Edwards and the fellow applicants, the Novant Health representing this request, have been to the city's technical review committee meeting twice this summer. The first meeting was July 1st, the second was August 26th. So they've been to 2 TRC meetings before and presented their preliminary conceptual plans for this endeavor. We have presented them officially with staff comments that are all enclosed in your packet. On November, no, actually, staff presented our comments on October 27th. The applicant responded to those on November 14th. So just to let you know, we do have a review period where we, before it comes to you, provide the applicant with official staff comments. So we take a look at the sketch plan first, provide them with all the comments that we have internally, let them know, just to give them an opportunity to kind of respond to those, okay? So brief overview of this request, the location of the project. The property is along Robert Smalls Parkway. You can see it on the screen, on your screens as well. It's in between the Walmart Supercenter location in Beaufort and the 4000 Margaret residential multi-family apartment complex on the north side of Robert Smalls Parkway, somewhat catty-corner to Beaufort Station. It's kind of, so if you look at the overall tract, the size is 14.4 acres in its entirety. The actual request will only develop a fraction, roughly a third of that 14.4 acre tract. It is zoned institutional and campus. So in short, IC, which is a conventional zoning district, as you know. Per our development code, the IC district supports generally non-residential institutions and employment areas that are designed in a campus-like setting, such as hospitals, universities, research facilities, and offices. It is intended to ensure that these unique institutions are designed to be compatible with their surroundings and the rest of the city. So that's the definition of what we would like to see within an institutional campus district. So this kind of falls in line with the hospital's definition of it. So the emergency department, the patient care clinic is what I would interpret as the hospitals or medical facilities portion of it. It is not located in a floodplain. It sits well above our base flood elevation of 13 feet in Beaufort. It is actually above the 20, it's around 20, in the 20s, 23-foot elevation range. So flooding is not an issue at this location. You can kind of decipher the floodplains on the screen, which the orange is the X zone. So that's basically the upland areas that we do not consider as being a floodplain in the floodplain. Looking at the overall aerial from Google Maps, you can see it's undeveloped. It's still wooded in its natural state. You can kind of also see to the north is the Robert Smalls Leadership Academy by Beaufort County Schools. To the west of the highlighted property location, you see W.K. Alston Drive, which is the primary access drive to Robert Smalls Leadership Academy. You see 4000 Margaret on the east of it, on the left-hand side of it. The Walmart is on the right-hand side, and then across from Robert Smalls Parkway is Beaufort Station. Looking at a street view, pretty much, I mean, it's, you know, it's undeveloped, it's wooded still, pretty much. So we are here because we want to look at the sketch plan, but looking at the sketch plan, we also look at, you know, the contents of our comprehensive plan for Beaufort. So this is the future land use map from 2021, the latest version of our comprehensive plan. And you kind of, I hope you can see the small red circle on the map is basically the location of this project. It is classified under the future land use map legend as institutional, which falls in line with the current zoning district designation as IC, but the surroundings are classified as an urban center. So what that means is urban centers, by definition in the comprehensive plan, are intended to accommodate regional and community businesses and limited light industry. You can forget about the light industry portion of it because we're in IC, so it's institutional campus and they are in that. But you can also see compatible zoning districts that fall under this designation of what would be an urban center, and it's basically the second most intense land use that we would like to see is RMX, the T5 UC districts that are, you know, commonplace along Robert Smalls Parkway that we have. For instance, Beaufort Station is zoned RMX T5 UC and so forth and so forth. So basically, it is compatible what the comprehensive plan envisions as land use along that corridor. It falls in line with that. So let's just next delve into the conceptual site plans that were submitted by the applicant, and I'm not sure if it shows up well enough. You can see the overall property here, the boundaries of it, and you can see that today's request, you know, is kind of takes up roughly, maybe not even a third of those 14.4 acres here. So you can see the freestanding emergency department and the patient care clinic. The emergency department is going to be on the south, and the PCC, the patient care clinic, is going to be on the north. You can also see outlines of the access road system. So it's going to have access, direct access off of Robert Smalls Parkway, which is on the south. It also will create, or the applicants, the property owners will also create a I call it a spine road, a connector road on the north side of the property, which will connect on the east, 4,000 Margaret with actually on the other side, west 4,000 Margaret to the east with WK Alston. So you have that as a secondary access road to the north. There will be some questions about that because so far we haven't been told, or the applicant hasn't specified that there is an easement or an access easement, because that sliver of land that you see on the east next door is actually part of Beaufort County School System. So Beaufort County Schools owns that sliver of land between, the subject property and WK Alston. So they're going to have to go over that, and I'm sure the applicant can specify that later on. Just to point that out, to kind of hone in on the actual project here. Also, you can kind of also see the landscaping that's proposed with it. So you see the two buildings. So the southern building, the emergency department is kind of not faced towards Robert Smalls Parkway. It's actually facing north. So towards the patient care clinic on the north. That's where the main entrance will be. In between those two buildings, that's where you have your parking, as well as on the west side of it. So parking is going to be on the side and in between those two buildings. On the eastern side of this portion that will be developed, you will see a retention areas and a wet pond for stormwater management purposes, okay? Also, what you can see here is the frontage buffer along Robert Smalls Parkway, which with our latest revisions to Chapter 5, they have now options with the buffer type that they can choose from. It used to be a 50-foot buffer. Now they can choose between doing option 1, which would be the 50, or the 35, which would be the scaled back buffer depth with more planting though. The applicant has stated that they are going with option 1, which would be the 50-foot buffer. That has been commonplace along Robert Smalls Parkway. So that's what it's envisioned to look like. And this is a chart again stating in our now new revised section 5.42, the front buffer requirement for this location. So they are going with that option number 1, as I just stated, which it's more depth, but it entails less planting of overstory, understory trees and so forth, as you know. So the tree canopy coverage is also a new item that we have introduced in our Chapter 5 revisions, as you know. They have outlined their existing canopy by the specimen landmark trees that they are preserving on site, as well as the street trees and the landscaping that will be planted on site. So looking at both the canopy coverage for this for the 30% minimum requirement for the commercial, projects like this, they actually exceed this by far, because their calculations show a 55.2% tree canopy coverage. Coverage percentage basically. They have worked with an arborist to inventory the existing trees, the specimen landmark trees on site. So 55 have been classified as specimen landmark trees as per our development ordinance, the tree preservation section of that. 8 of those trees are deemed unhealthy or dead. So the remainder is 46 specimen landmark trees that will be preserved, that are planned to be preserved within this scheme. Okay. Moving right along to open space. The open space, as you can see here, is provided immediately around the two buildings, the emergency department and the patient care clinic, as well as on the northwest corner, adjacent to where this property meets 4,000 Margaret. There's actually, I can point that out to you as well. This little square up here is actually the pump station that Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer, where they will be tying into for sewer. They have, and I will show that to you, but they have a confirmation letter by this authority stating that they will have, sufficient water and sewer capacity. The open space that they need to provide for this site is 15%. It's actually, let me just see. It's so as per our section 742, a minimum of 15% of the property sizes between 3 and 10 acres need to be provided as green space, open space. They are providing by this scheme 1.11 acres, so that comes up to roughly 18.5% of the disturbed area. So they're looking at what they're disturbing. They're not looking at the overall, the remainder of it. So what they're disturbing, they're providing 18.5. So they're above. So this is good. The only thing missing though, and please keep that in mind, that we don't have any other specifications about the types of community green space, open space that is provided for. We only see where it's provided for, the location of such. So going further into details, of course, with a sketch plan requirements, as per our new section 753, we have 5 criteria that we look at when it comes to sketch plan submittals. We have a street plan that the applicant needs to submit. We have a community open space plan that they need to submit, which I just talked about. We have a requirement that they need to show for a pedestrian network. So meaning location of trails, not only access roads, but a trail system for pedestrian cyclists. They need to clarify their zoning as well as their design. So that means as well, of course, their conceptual building design and massing. So talking about that, let me start with the floor plans, the elevations, what they have presented to us, what the emergency department would look like. So the floor plan, you can't really read it too well. In the center of this building is the nursing station, and it's surrounded by examination rooms, CT rooms, and so forth. Both of these buildings are 1-story buildings. So you actually, within the IC district, you could, if you wanted to, go up to 4, but both buildings are 1-story. The sketches, the elevations that you see here are from the north. So meaning the main entrance.
Did we receive the elevations in our packages?
I think you did.
I did not.
You did not.
I did not. This is the first time I'm seeing this because I was reading through the staff comments and you were talking about architecture.
Right.
And I saw absolutely no architecture in what we got.
Okay.
We only had 2.
Have you received my email with the Dropbox link in it, or
There was nothing there
there was
either.
nothing there?
Not that I remember, no.
Okay, I apologize for that.
'Cause I
Have
can't,
you looked at, do you have hard copies? No hard copies?
No hard.
Oh, hard copy.
nothing.
The only ones we had were 2 floor plans. That's
2
it.
floor plans, that's it.
Okay.
One,
Wow.
one for each building.
Okay, I apologize. Okay. So looking, I can briefly go over this. We can probably need to anyway take another stance at this as well, but let me just, just roughly briefly explain what it will look like. But so looking at the north elevation of this, the emergency department, which is the main building on the south of the two, it's facing north, so it not south. To the south would be Robert Smalls Parkway. The main entrance to this building is on the north side, so basically facing the other building, right? You can see the elevations here, so you can see on the left-hand side where the ambulance this would pull in for emergency department and drop off for patients there. In the center, you will have the main entrance areas. You can see also what it would kind of look like on the sketches, the 3D renderings below. So that left hand is the northeast and the other is the northwest corner. So it kind of gives you an impression sort of kind of what, the materials would look like, the color schemes, the windows, the fenestration, and so forth. The east and west elevations of this building look like this. As I stated in the beginning, these are one-story buildings, so they're not very high buildings. They have high windows, as you can see. They kind of go from the ground up towards almost the ceiling. There are some elements in between that kind of highlight, that kind of break up the facade a little bit. Some shutters that were, kind of provisioned there. Just some building materials, items to kind of break it up a little. From what our architects that we work with from Emitters, that's what we understood, or what we understand, is that these buildings will be basically built by pre-manufactured elements. So it's like, you have like building elements that will be put in place and assembled on site. So they're gonna be basically put together, made out of pre-manufactured elements.
What about
That's
precast-
our understanding.
Precast concrete?
You can ask the applicant, but I believe that that's the case. Yeah. Concrete, yeah.
Go ahead.
So looking at the south elevation for this building, so this would be basically the view if you're traveling down Roberts Smalls Parkway, and you would be looking towards your right to the north, right? So you're traveling towards Broad River Bridge. You're looking towards the north on the right-hand side of you. This is what the elevation would look like. As I said, this is not the main facade. It's not faced towards the parkway. It's faced towards the other building. So this is, you can see the wrap around of where the ambulances would pull in, but the main pedestrian entrance would be on the north side of the building where the parking lot is, okay? The sketches below, the renderings kind of give you an impression of what that will all look like. Yeah. So going forward to the other building, the patient care clinic. Also a one-story building. It's about 5,750 square feet in size. The freestanding emergency department is 11,620 square feet. So it's, over double the size of that. Starting from the north, which would be from north elevation facing Robert Smalls Leadership Academy. The rendering, the elevation of the building looks like this. You've got different panels with different shades of colors, kind of all assembled together, kind of different. Let's say it's kind of earth tone, kind of little modern, but yeah, I mean, institutional architecture, maybe I would call it. You can see by the renderings below what that would kind of look like in a 3D animated setting from the northeast and the northwest corner. So they kind of change the northeast corner is kind of that brownish facade color. It changes over to that more white, gray, white checkered pattern there on the west side. The windows have Bermuda shutters in front of it. You can see that clearly here on the northwest elevation of that. So the east and west elevations, so the side of the buildings look like this. On the east side, it's more brown. It's kind of, yeah, not very crazy architecture. Then on the west, you see more of that gray, the gray panels over the windows with the Bermuda shutters, and then you've got the white. So the south elevation is where the main entrance is. So that's going to be facing they both buildings face each other. You've got the primary parking in between. So that's where the pedestrian walkways will be, where, patients will walk from their cars to either the emergency department or on the north, the patient care clinic. So that's where most of the pedestrian action will take place, is in between those two buildings. Kind of see that highlighted on the renderings there below. So this is the site layout plan again. As I kind of showed to you before, you can see the parking clearly. On the west side, you can see 3 dumpster locations or 2 dumpster locations. You can see on the east side of this developed area, the bioretention wet pond. There are swale areas for stormwater collection along the south side of that new connector spine road on the north. On the west, the road will eventually tie into 4,000 Margaret. There's a stub that actually is already in place for future connectivity into 4,000 Margaret. So that will basically align with that. I kind of tried to superimpose the site plan 4,000 Margaret onto Google on the aerial. Here you can kind of see how that will tie in. So 4,000 Margaret is here, kind of highlighted. You see how that spine, that access road will basically create that, connection between 4,000, then the healthcare facility side towards WK Alston. So, which is something that we like to see. We like to see connectivity. We like to see, if there's street stubs present, that new development ties into surrounding communities, developments that are already in place. So they are doing that, which is very good. Another look of what that would look like here, the apartments here on the north, and then the new development, the healthcare site on the south, with the pump station there on the right. This is a copy of the confirmation letter, which was submitted by Mr. Michaels from Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority to Ward Edwards, confirming that the site will be tied into the gravity sewer pump station SP 75, which I have shown you the location at, in between where 4,000 Margaret is basically. It can handle both the apartments and the future healthcare facilities. The water, there's also capacity for water.
Go back a second. Is this the most definitive letter that we can get out of Beaufort Jasper? We think we will have capacity.
Yeah, I believe so.
There's no way we can get them to say that as of this date, capacity exists or anything like that.
I mean, basically, this is what Matthew Michaels is, the leading engineer for Beaufort Jasper, and this pretty much confirms that there's a capacity there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, the other issue is the letter itself in the body only refers to the freestanding emergency department. It does not refer to the other building.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I'm very confident that he means both.
But
There has never been,
the regarding says both.
True, but the
Body.
body conflicts with the
Yeah.
subject line.
yeah. I mean, that's something we can verify. I mean, once we get to final, we'll do a staff review anyway, but,
Okay.
so the traffic impact analysis, which, I'm not sure if you have seen that either, but there was an excerpt, a draft of TIA, submitted. I just copied the executive summary. So traffic counts were taken in 2025 at these locations. So these are intersection locations, WK Alston Drive, at Robert Smalls Leadership Academy, different intersection points, directional points, as well as with the future access to this medical complex and Robert Smalls Parkway, Whitaker Alley and Lucas, which are in the 4,000 Margaret apartment complex. So all these immediate intersections around the proposed locations have been studied under existing, so 2025 existing conditions, 2030 no build conditions, and 2030 build conditions during both AM and PM peak hours. The result from this TIA basically was based on the results of the traffic analysis. The proposed Beaufort FSCD development is anticipated to have minimal impact on the surrounding road network. Therefore, no mitigation due to the impacts is recommended as part of this TIA. So that's basically what it comes down to. The stormwater, just briefly before I hand it over to you, stormwater management drainage plan looks like this. So I kind of elaborated quickly, briefly on the stormwater management. You have those two ponds on the east side of the location here. The bioretention fills up first. Once it overflows, it'll flow into that wet pond on the north of the bioretention pond. If that overflows, you have drainage, stormwater drainage pipes that water will tie into regional stormwater drainage to kind of take that water off site. As you can see on the northern property boundary where it flows towards the north, eventually towards Robert Smalls Leadership Academy. The utilities, the water and the sewer look
Can I
like
ask you a
this.
quick question on
Yes,
that?
sir.
The water holding pond is 19 feet deep. I believe
Yes.
the bottom of it's at 10, top of it's at 19. And I can't read. It's hard for me to read all the numbers on the plans, but
The bottom of the bioretention is at an elevation of 16.5 feet.
not the bio, the other one.
The other one is at an elevation of 18.75 feet. So the bioretention overflows to the adjacent wet pond via an emergency weir at an elevation of 18.75 feet. The wet pond stages to a maximum elevation of 18.58 feet, which is below the emergency weir elevation. Therefore, it will not backflow or saturate the bioretention. So flow is directed towards the north and then it goes out. So if that overflows, it goes into the control drainage structures.
Yeah, that's a really steep slope in there. I don't know.
And I really didn't, I mean, usually,
stabilized,
yeah,
but,
it's only a sketch
Okay.
plan, but I mean, you can probably, the specifics are, we work with Jason Hedrick when it comes to stormwater management, and we had provided the applicant with the comments, which they basically elaborated, and I'm sure they can do that better
Okay.
afterwards as well. But this just highlights, how that is going to take place, and as well as the water and the sewer, you can see here in the utilities plan. So as I stated, the sewage will flow towards that pump station that's at the northwest corner towards 4,000 Margaret will tie into there. The water line you can see here as the blue line, which basically follows the spine road, the connector road, bringing the water from WK Alton, taking it towards 4,000 Margaret. They're tying it into making that connection to their new facilities, the south there. So last but not least, we come to the finding of fact section. So we do analyze, we have 4 facts that we kind of look at. So the number 1 is the land use mix within the project, if it conforms to Beaufort zoning, and the comprehensive plan, which I have shown you in the beginning, the future land use map, and its goals and policies of that. And yes, if that checks off, both the comprehensive plan and the current zoning do meet what we would like to see there within the IC zoning district as a healthcare facility and along that location as well. Number 2, the sketch plan is consistent with the rationale, the criteria set forth in this chapter, the city's comprehensive plan and the civic master plan as amended. So looking at those, there are some items, for instance, that we haven't really seen or we would like to see more elaborations on. And one of those items, if you look at, for instance, our Appendix C of the Beaufort Development Code, when you look at specific street sections, there is the Appendix C that kind of studies what kind of street sections, what kind of desirable streets you would like to have by typology and so forth, and it gives also a description of Roberts Mills Parkway. And what the city would like Roberts Mills Parkway to be developed to when it comes to development along Roberts Mills Parkway. And one of those components within that street section is a multi-use path for both cyclists and pedestrians. So within that Appendix C, 0.626, you will find bike facilities, sidewalk, like a width. So the city actually would like to see somewhat of a multi-use path on both sides of Roberts Mills Parkway developed when development occurs along that corridor to kind of provide for more multimodal transportation options, not only, auto access from Roberts Mills Parkway, but also creating a multi-use path that would eventually connect or that would give accessibility to pedestrians and cyclists as well. Thanks to Ms. Anderson, she highlighted, or she provided some information to me from the 2010 comprehensive plan. Back then, there was an appendix on Roberts Mills Parkway, and the city back in 2010 in the comp plan had some plans to make a Roberts Mills Parkway also a feature, a transportation corridor that would definitely also host cyclists and pedestrians along its right of way to kind of create something like a all-inclusive corridor, which definitely also would include cyclists on both sides along that 50-foot buffer that has been set aside for such to kind of, make that happen. So we have not seen any of those sort of multi-use pathways along Roberts Mills Parkway in this sketch plan. And it would be nice, and I will refer to the applicant when it comes to that, but that's one of the items that they have not really touched on. So number 3, preliminary traffic, open space, parks, utilities, pedestrian design. Are those adequate? Are those functional, giving the planned capacities of each system? And do they meet the standards found in this code? There are items that have not been provided for, as I just kind of, stated, the multi-use pathways, the connectivity to other means of transportation, for instance, pedestrians and cyclists, are not necessarily all there, or maybe not, not adequately provided for. That's also, if you look at the Spine Road, that potential in not only connecting 4000 Market with WK Alston, which basically is an access road to the Leadership Academy, to the school there, not only providing that as a transportation road for cars, but also maybe highlighting more than just some access maybe for cyclists. What about trails, greenways, and so forth? Yeah, the other item that I kind of highlighted was the easement, the missing easement clarity. Is there going to be an easement, access easement for that small section to tie that Spine Road into WK Alston? That is still unclear. We don't know as of today. I'm sure the applicant is able to elaborate. Open space, the open space plan doesn't really show any decipherable types that have been chosen here. For instance, is there any active open space that will be provided for, like community parks, a square, a green, maybe the greenway as an open space type for this development that could maybe occur in, looking at the overall community in conjunction with the residential and the schools and so forth and so forth. Then number 4, finally, the conceptual design, the massing that is proposed, is it consistent with the requirements of the development code? Well, the massing is it's underutilized. Both are just 1-story buildings, which is fine. If they don't want it to go up, then they don't want to go up. But looking at especially building, design criteria. For instance, what we always like to look at is the fenestration. What do they have to provide for? Well, the 40% in the conventional district for IC. The transparency does not necessarily meet that criteria. Also, we would like to see 40% on the street facing. Any facades that are street facing, that are prominent facades, should have those 40%. And they should be, it should be fenestration that actually is fenestration, that is transparent fenestrations, that you can sort of kind of have an interactive fenestration with the building and so forth. We don't really necessarily see that.
So if I'm in the exam room with the doctor, it should be an open window. I mean, 40% is about half of the building wall. I mean, how is that going to work with a building where you're going to have people being examined by doctors? I mean, you can
I'm
stand there
just
and.
pointing it out. Yeah, yeah,
But did
that's
you
a good
take-
point. That's a good argument. Yeah, I'm just, right.
At least, and I understand what the code says, but at least in this instance,
I mean-
it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
No, of course. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I'm just putting it out there, right? So also looking at the architecture, the design, we would like to see maybe more of a low country vernacular that not necessarily is represented here. Parking lot design, if you look at the parking lot design, I can go back to that. It's kind of missing pedestrian sidewalks for pedestrians that, that would provide maybe for more safety and also connectivity between maybe eventual pedestrian / bikeways to the north and the south. If there should ever be something like a trail, a multi-use pathway along Robert Smalls Park, there's not really that happening. I do believe, and I know that between those two buildings, there is going to be accessibility, ADA accessibility between handicap parking on the north side of the emergency department and on the south of the PCC that works together. If you're looking at the core of this development, but other than that, I don't see a lot of, safe walkways, pedestrian walkways when it comes to the parking lot design. So basically with all what has been said, also one of the last major criteria here is the question, what is the future development of the remainder of the property? What will this look like? That hasn't been addressed. It is one property, it hasn't been subdivided. The 14.4 is owned by Novant Health. They're at this current state, they're proposing to develop roughly a third of it. It would be interesting to know what will happen with the rest. How would that be tied into this request for this medical complex, right? So our staff recommendation with the open questions that I kind of touched on, right, is to basically table maybe the approval to a future meeting once we have more clarity regarding those items.
I'm gonna have to go because I have
Yeah,
another
sorry, I
event.
apologize,
But
but
just a clarification on that, we don't, at the sketch plan stage, don't approve anything.
right,
We just have a few comments. So
it's just my recommendation to you.
No, just curious on that, when you say table, since we don't make any decision, what, you mean don't even discuss it, or?
No, I mean, that's,
Because
yeah,
if we
no.
do discuss it, we'll end up making recommendation in the context of our questions.
This is our staff report
Right.
to you with everything that I kind of delved into. We don't feel like when we look at the sketch plan review with the items that we usually would expect are not necessarily all there.
Right.
So, but I would definitely, on your behalf, would hear out the applicant, and maybe there are some
Right.
missing items that I haven't touched on.
Right.
But this is our staff report. to
I
you.
just didn't want to lead anybody to think that even if it was complete, that we do anything more than just
Mhm.
make comments, because that's the way our new regulation on
Mhm.
sketch plans. Can I just, maybe a little bit out, or just make a couple of quick comments or questions, because I have to leave and I
Yeah.
told the chairman in advance, and I apologize for that. And you don't have to have anybody answer it here, but if you could just, because I look at the TIA usually pretty closely in these things, and on page 23, there was a comment about auxiliary turn lane warrants. And the comment was in there that these turn lanes are not the responsibility of the FSED development. So my question is gonna be, but don't answer it before I leave, because I really have to leave, is if not the responsibility of this development, who are we pinning that on, or were they the requirement of a previously approved development? They just haven't gotten around to putting them in yet. So that's just the one thing that I saw in that TIA, which otherwise I
Okay.
thought was complete. And
Yeah, one item that I missed.
and
Excuse me.
you don't have to answer it yet, because as I said, I have to go, but somebody can answer it in the future or relay the information to me on that. And then the other thing, when you were doing the analysis on, just by way of example, the frontage requirements for trees, plantings and so forth,
Mhm.
were you using the existing regulations? Because I don't think the city council adopted our new changes yet as respects perimeter planting requirements and so forth, were they? And that's often,
Yeah,
or did they do that? They did, okay, so everything's based on the new.
yeah, it's
Sometimes
based on.
what
the-
happens in the course of our review, we're trying to think, well, because all of us sitting up here, we're always thinking in terms of what we just analyzed, but we sometimes lose track of what was actually passed. So you did that analysis based on the.
It's based on the revised chapter 5.
And, and if some of these, other items about fenestration and stuff,
Yeah.
if, because we're reviewing those portions of the code as well, those are based on the existing code, not on anything that we
Correct.
might have
Mhm. Yeah.
preliminarily
Yes, sir.
recommended. Okay, I just
Yes.
wanted to.
One item I just want to, I missed is the access from Robert Smalls Parkway is a right in, right out only.
Right, yeah, I
Yeah.
noticed that,
Mhm.
yeah.
Noticed that.
That's why those numbers were so good. Yep. I'm sorry, I have to leave. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for letting me do that.
Are there any other questions for staff?
Oh, yeah, I'll just go ahead and open it up to questions for staff. I was a little confused when I read the report when we were talking about canopy and other conditions of the site. There seems to be an intermixture of the 14-acre site versus the 6-acre site. And then, of course, the portion that still is owned by the school, Robert Smalls Academy. So when you're looking at those things, is that really just the 6 acres of the site and not including that roadway or anything else?
This is, so looking at the screen here, the plan for the tree canopy coverage entails the road, the street tree planting along that, and the disturbed area, which is the 2 buildings, the parking around it. But it doesn't entail the entirety of the other 2/3 of the lot itself, right? So the total disturbed area is roughly 323,000 square feet. The 2 building footprints take up about 17,350. They count in the mature trees which the 46 are, and that kind of are on the touched by the disturbed area by the development here, as well as the proposed open space landscaped areas. So the street tree plantings and so forth, the parking lots, landscaping and so forth. So
So it does include the road.
it does. I mean, if you look at the plan here, the kind of the green shaded canopy area that they have highlighted, it does seem to include that new connector road and, the immediate environs of the proposed medical complexes there, yeah.
We have to be
And the
careful about
frontage.
when we
buffer.
look at the development of the rest of that property, what is or is not.
Well, yeah.
with that.
According to these numbers, what is the undisturbed area? Green area is how much? Total disturbed area is 322?
Well, that disturbed area, the 322 is where they're building the 2 buildings, right? So,
Including the road and
Yeah.
the west end,
mhm,
west edge.
And the stuff
Including-
that's owned by somebody else?
including that new road there on the north, yeah.
And the new road going out towards Walt Falls.
Ex-
It includes the road that's going.
Yeah.
Also.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that's, how much is that? What's the number for that? That 322,000 square feet?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat that, please?
Is the green area, the 322,000 square feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, so the disturbed area entails the Spine Road, the portion where they're building the the patient care clinic and the emergency department, the parking and all the paved areas, the the parking lot in between on the side and then
Okay.
so forth.
What
Yeah.
you're talking about, the remaining site area of 13,000 square feet, where's that at? Is that the rest of the wide area? It can't be.
It could be that road section that's on the school's property and that connect, where they're tying it into a WK Alston Drive because that's not part of their property, but they show some street tree planting along that. But I'm not quite sure where that is. Yeah. Any other questions?
Has, I may have missed this in your presentation, I
Mhm.
apologize, but has the connector road from this site to the WR, has that been dedicated? Or
We don't know.
is that now part of this project or is it not part of this project?
Well, the connector road is part of the project, so they are proposing to connect, WK Alston on the east with 4,000 Margaret on the west to have that also as a secondary access
I know
road,
they're
but
proposing it, but do they have legal right to do that?
I think from what he said earlier, the staff doesn't know.
no, we don't.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's
Yeah.
still the case.
So is that still up in the air? You just don't know?
That is,
Well, that's
They
something,
know or who
yeah,
knows?
I'm sure the applicant can probably talk towards
Yeah,
that
we-
better
we
than
can
I
ask
can,
that.
but, yeah.
um, okay, and one last thing, and I don't know that we have this implemented now, but we had asked to try and get some type of a look at a master plan where you take this site and all the other sites and kind of look at a master plan of what the impact is of this site with all the other sites
Mhm.
combined. And that's, I'm not sure if we've accomplished that yet with everything, but
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, you kind of sort of can tell on this aerial map here, there is large commercial development tracts going east towards the city of Beaufort, with Walmart, with Cross Creek, with Beaufort Station on the southeast there. Then you have
I-
a school but yeah,
I
yeah,
think this is helpful. It'd be nice if we had a little graphic that gave us some information about, what the impact of those other developments are on, Robert Smalls Parkway. And
Right.
I just don't know that the traffic study, is looking at
well, I think that also,
facts.
right, and the traffic study, I'm very positive, confident that they have taken this into account that, with the provision of that new connector road and providing an alternative access road between 4,000 Margaret and WK Alston, for any residents going towards that school side, not necessarily having to, travel to, Robert Smalls Parkway and so forth. So it kind of creates more of those, alternative routes for that and as a secondary access as well for this site. But yeah,
The problem I have with it is that the traffic engineer always says that this project won't have a dramatic or negative impact to the traffic that's already there, but we're already over capacity on that road with everything. So,
mhm,
this project in and of itself probably won't do that, but we're kind of not looking at what the existing conditions are that are on that. But that's just my comment.
I have a quick comment as well.
Kurt just explained that when this was done, the analysis, traffic impact analysis, they really haven't looked into the future of what could be, developed along the corridor and the vicinity of that. So they have looked at what's in place now with the traffic counts pretty much.
I understand.
But there, of course, depending on, for instance, what happens with the remainder of the Beaufort Station tract, there's a lot of talks of eventual mixed-use development coming in there, and how does that tie into anything happening on the north side and so forth. But
I agree. And I just think at some point in time, we as a city need to look at what the capacity of our roadway systems actually are, what they're trying to handle now, and dealing with the state on, how we're going to deal with some of this stuff. And one last thing, we have other things coming into play that are on the horizon for bus system as an example. And the way we handle a bus system is you probably wouldn't put a roadside stop on Robert Smalls Parkway, okay? What you probably would do though, is you would come up on WK, take that access road that is right in front of these urgent care facilities. You probably have a stop there, and you would take that into the apartment complex, and you'd have a stop in the apartment complex. And then that way people could, access it. So as we're looking at these things, I think we need to put more emphasis on, how are we dealing with more of the multimodal than just sidewalks and
very good.
bike paths.
Yes, absolutely. You're right.
Does the? Never mind.
Well,
Before we get to the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for staff real quick too.
Sure.
So 95% of the buildings, probably 95 along Robert Smalls is facing Robert Smalls. And I think you briefly mentioned it, but what is staff's position on the front of this building facing basically the back?
well, I mean, when our staff architects looked at it, usually the main arterial road, it would be Robert Smalls Parkway. Of course, we understand with, the frontage buffer that is in place, the 50-foot buffer, the landscaped area, that would visually, kind of diminish the ability to actually look at the facade there along Robert Smalls Parkway. Of course, taking into account how the applicant would like to lay out, this medical complex with having both buildings face each other and kind of, have that internal accessibility and so forth. You kind of have to weigh it sort of, right? It's a give and take sort of. It's per code, the 40%, for instance, that I highlighted, the fenestration along, the main arterial road, the street frontage, which would on the south, there is no other street basically than Robert Smalls Parkway, but
So basically, even if the front's not on Robert Smalls, the 40% has to be on Robert Smalls.
well, there's no other,
Okay.
technically that's gonna be your main road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
technically, right? Of course, there's internal access road and everything like that, and if you've got that, 50-foot buffer and so forth, so but if there's no other questions, and I do apologize,
Bill, did you
I
have
thought
something?
you had received all the packets and everything, so.
Kim,
Yeah, I just had a question of parking.
Yeah,
Looking at the floor plans of both of these buildings, there's going to be a lot of staff working in these two buildings. And I'm just wondering, you know, it's not like a convenience store or something like that where there's one or two staff.
Mhm.
There's gonna be, you know, a lot of staff. Physicians, nurses, lab people,
Mhm.
office people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that that parking looks a little bit light, in the sense of where the customer's gonna park.
Well, there's parking all along the sides here as well. So the parking is in between the two buildings, and here you have your ADA compliant handicap parking spaces right closest to the entrances of the buildings here and here. And then you've got on the what is it, the west side of those the sites here, you've got parking all along here as well. Yeah.
You're saying we're meeting the parking requirements that we have. The
Mhm.
question, I guess, is,
Yeah.
are they correct? I had the same question or concern. I wasn't sure looking at it.
I mean, there could easily be like 30 to 40 people working in each building.
I'm not sure that there are that many. I mean,
Do we
Like I
know
can
how
get
many
10
people?
exam rooms.
I'm not
lab.
quite certain how many employees there will be. I would like to refer that to the applicant, but
We can ask the applicant.
yeah, Kurt, sure.
Christopher has provided you with a list of a lot of comments about this from the technical comments on the addendum. And you'll notice there was comments about, I think, what Benji stated. And I think the important thing is you see the overall, this is conceptual, right? And so there are some issues here that you're seeing, but I think we're getting into like some specific details that a site plan would have to lay out. But, you know, the goal of this is to tell them, hey, you know, you have not, looking at this conceptual plan, you know, the way you're orienting this building and, you know, its massing, its scale, its relation to Robert Smalls Parkway is not working for us. Hey, your parking lot design is not working for us. You know, instead of let's try to, this is more conceptual. Let's not get into the fine grain details. Let's think about
I
your
agree.
general,
I agree.
I just wanted to say that because that's the advantage or that's the goal of this meeting is that. So sorry.
Why don't we close this and open it up to allow the applicant to make their presentation?
Good evening. I wanted to thank the Planning Commission for having us this evening. I'm Adam Pekin. I'm the Senior Director of Planning.
Could you say your name again? I couldn't hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Adam Pekin. I'm the Senior Director of Planning.
How do you spell your last name?
Pekin, P-E-G-A-N.
There should be a sign-in form for you to sign in and put your name
Okay,
in.
yes, sir. Thank you. And I just,
And what is your position again?
so I'm the Senior Director of Planning for
For
the Low
whom?
Country, for Novant Health.
Okay.
All right, so I just wanted to mention at Novant Health, our mission is to create a healthier future and bring remarkable experiences to life. So we're very excited about this project and happy to bring it forward. We're also focused on improving care and bringing care to the communities, which continues to be a need for our area here. So we look forward to partnering with you in the city of Beaufort as we continue to grow together. I was just thinking about some of the comments that we had, and one of the aspects that we want to make sure is that we're closer to the patients. So that's why we are looking at the site and developing where a lot of the growth is and where there's already a fair amount of population. In terms of connectivity, we certainly welcome any connectivity options and want to work with our community partners as well. So we do have a couple of individuals, Connor and Steve, who are here to join us as well in case any technical questions there. And then in terms of the easement, that was one of the other questions that came up. We are working with the school district right now, hoping to resolve that in the next 30 days. So don't have the answer yet, but are looking to connect those roads as well.
So you would have an easement, then you're not going to buy property from them.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah, we're looking to see if we can potentially partner together and help both of our organizations through this process.
How is what you're doing going to help them?
So we had requested looking to see if we can partner with them, if we can offer services potentially to their staff or something along those lines to work together to help support the community locally. And then The other questions that had come up was just regarding the rest of the property. So I will tell you that's my job is the planning and what we're going to look at in the future. So really, this is kind of our first step into the area. We do have a number of physician offices here, but this is what I would call an acute care service. And what we want to see is how we're growing, what the needs are, the community are, what type of patients we see, and that will help guide our plans for the rest of the property. So in time, I do think there will be other developments in terms of other medical assets, but what those specific ones are, we're still in the process of kind of phase one of this particular property.
So have you entered a market with a facility like this previously? And if so, where and how has that worked out?
Yeah, so one of the other assets that we have is the Tidewatch Emergency Department, which is on 170, so about 15 minutes south of here. So that is basically a very similar model that we're going to employ here. The building will be slightly different, but in terms of the care services offerings, staffing, all that will be the same. Some of the designs that we've taken into place here, we're learning from that location. So this adds additional patient privacy with some of the parking behind that we have here, and also kind of the shared connections that you all alluded to with the office there. But really what we have done is employ this, their significant amount of patients that we see over there right now. It works. And again, the care proximity to patients where patients live is tremendous when you have a matter of minutes that could be life or death. So that's really what we wanted to work to address.
I've been an architect for hospitals for 50 years. And this looks similar to what I did for Aetna Healthcare, where I developed prototypes, national prototypes that we used, like three or four different prototypes around the country. So this kind of looks like that's what this is. And, but I've done it for urgent care. I have never done it for an emergency. I'd never seen that before. Of course, I haven't practiced for 10 years, so I'm sure. And I see where South Carolina law does not require a CON for an emergency room, which kind of baffles me a little bit.
Doesn't require what?
Does not require a certificate of need application.
Yeah, I was wondering about that myself.
But the state does not require one for emergencies. And so, so I'm looking at these two facilities, and if you can help me understand kind of what you're trying to accomplish before you do that, you are required to be licensed through another hospital. So what hospital are you licensed through for this particular facility?
So
Or would
that-
be?
Sorry, that will be Hilton Head Hospital. So Hilton Head Medical Center, which is on Hilton
Okay.
Head. So it's in Beaufort County, which will have the same licensure,
Okay,
is how that will be set up.
okay.
What's your
Um,
relationship with Beaufort Hospital?
So so that's a different organization there. So
Are you going to have any cooperative relationship with?
yeah, sure. So we're always,
And they're complex?
yeah, I mean, in terms of, I mean, we'll have agreements, arrangements in place, and it's always up to patient choice if they needed to get transferred to a higher level of care from the emergency center. We're currently seeing transfer rates about 2 or 3%. So patients that come into the emergency department, the freestanding emergency department that need higher level of care. So with those, we ask the patient.
Only 2 to 3%.
Yes, they're
Really?
fairly lower level as patients that with higher complexities or EMS generally would bring to more acute locations. So this is what I'm going to say is kind of like lower acuity. So what we would see is those ones, what patient preferences are, if they're able to answer that question. And then if they're not, we would then transfer to the more appropriate facility based on the specialty needed for that patient.
So what kind of patients do go to a freestanding emergency room? Is it broken arms, gunshot wounds, heart attacks? What type
So
of-
we're able to take care of all of it. So we're certified even at Tidewatch to handle anything from stroke to gunshot wounds. There's physicians on site, nursing, everyone's there all the time. But I would say those would be the situations where often you would be transferred to another center, be it trauma center or cardiovascular center for heart-related issues. But in terms of what I would say, average patient, I don't want to generalize this too, but I would say broken arm would probably be one that I would throw in there. Maybe-
I don't see a splint room anywhere here.
Well, I don't know about specifically, but I'm certainly capable, or certainly capable of doing that through the hospital there. But a lot of it's like respiratory related issues, people that are kind of coming in with, I would say, illnesses that would be beyond the scope of going to waiting for a primary care physician. But knowing that it's not emergency related, well, EMS certainly can come there, but I would say oftentimes it's people bringing themselves to present at the ER.
Yeah, I don't want you to think we're
Yeah.
thinking negatively at all about your project.
No.
We're trying to cover all of our bases. It's probably a good thing to have.
Yeah.
I'm just totally not familiar with it. And to hear 2 to 3% is all that you're transferring out
Mhm.
of an emergency room just seems because I'm used to having it attached to a hospital and
Mhm.
you're probably transferring 60% or 70% or more in a typical situation there. I don't know.
But I don't think, but see, you used the term emergency room and they're calling this an emergency department. I'm not sure that they're trying to build an emergency
Well,
room.
no, they have trauma. They have trauma rooms. They have major rooms and minor rooms.
Yeah.
You have you call it a isolation room, but it's really a negative pressure room, I think.
If you want to. Okay, thank you. No,
Yeah, I think your isolation room is only a negative pressure room. It's not really an isolation room according to the
yeah.
codes, but it's an interesting concept to me. But I want to make sure that we're helping to make it work right. But you actually have the same, I'm not as concerned about your urgent care. The emergency room, more concerned with, but this has been in operation in other locations and been successful is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Yeah, like I said, if you even just down 170, Tidewatch Freestanding Emergency Department, we've been operating. since
How long have
2019.
they been in operation?
2019.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good amount of time. That's real interesting to me.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question.
Yes.
What is the relationship, if any, between the patient care center and the freestanding emergency room? I mean, is a patient care center like providing follow-up care for people who are seen in the emergency department? Is it primary care? Is it urgent care? What is it?
Yeah, so the intent, so it's an office that can be used for a variety of different things. The intent right now is to have it as primary care. We find that a lot of folks in the area don't have a primary care provider. We've recruited a number of providers just recently and plan to recruit many more. So the intent is oftentimes we see patients where their first interaction with healthcare is unfortunately at an emergency setting. So if they would be willing to choose us, we would have a location across the street able to take care of them. But it is intended to improve access to healthcare in general.
Is there, I'm again, just curious,
Mhm.
is there a reason you don't attach the urgent care center to your emergency care center?
So that would actually be, sorry, I want to just fill that out. So that one's actually going to be like a 9 to 5 more physician office.
Okay, so
That's
this
gonna
is
be
your
operating
24/7.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would guess that you probably share staff though between the two.
Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of staff, I don't have the numbers for you, but we certainly can follow up with what that that would be. But yeah, in terms of the staff, it would be operating fairly separately in terms of that, though I could see that some individuals potentially sharing.
So the people on duty in the patient care facility will not be the same people?
No, like I said, the emergency department, will, 24/7, 365 have full-time staff with physicians on site and such. The other will be like a 9 to 5 physician. It'll likely be 2 primary care providers, maybe more, with the corresponding staff.
In your experience at your other facility, down Robert Smalls, I mean, what percentage of people come in via ambulance versus driving themselves or being driven by somebody?
Percentage wise, I would say probably less than 5%. So it's a handful a day. that we see on there. So just in terms of traffic disruption, it's not a great deal. It probably more so is like I said, the folks that need to be seen and then transferred out. So but it's generally EMS is going to go to the hospital or trauma center first, most of the time. Certainly if they know that's the quickest way to take care of somebody, especially kind of in certain type of procedures, they'll bring them to us at the freestanding emergency center, which we can stabilize accordingly. But it's not a great deal.
Are you related to an HMO in any way?
We are not.
So I just wanted to provide this feedback, just in general terms of you looking forward with this process. The architecture of the building, in my personal opinion, is a non-starter. It doesn't express what we would want to see here in the South Carolina Low Country at all. It very much looks just like a square box that somebody said earlier, you could just unload from a truck and stand up. So, Mr. Pegan, from that perspective, it would, for me at least, would be a no-go.
Connor Blaney with Ward Edwards Engineering. Thank you so much for the comment. We do have the architect on the call. One comment I do want to bring forth is the architect has been working with staff and staff's architect throughout this process, and those renderings have evolved significantly from when they were submitted a month ago to the now.
So why don't we see them tonight?
I would love
Just
to.
curious.
We did send them before the meeting, but I understand it was super last minute. We submitted everything, I think on Friday, but the next meeting, we would love to show those. It has a more low country vernacular and it does meet the 40% fenestration. And I'm happy to have the architect provide any additional comments to that as well.
Is there any way that the mechanical outside spot could be moved someplace so that it's not facing the street?
Can you let Sam? Yes, please.
Talking the roof,
Mm-mm.
where the generator is?
Yeah.
The generator and a field
Mhm.
tank? Yeah.
All right, can you hear us okay?
We can hear somebody.
All right, so I think you just asked about if the service yard enclosure on the back part of the building could be
Oh,
moved.
wait. Who are you?
Sorry, this is Sam Dunn. I'm with GA Studios out of Birmingham. We're the architect for this project.
Can one of you here standing at the podium make sure you get his information on that form? Please go ahead, Mr. Dunn.
I was trying to answer the question related to the location of the service yard, the enclosure in the back part of the building. The relationship with that is the MEP room and the electrical rooms are all in the back side of the building that you're talking about, with the relationship of that being where it is. It could be moved to possibly a side or left or right of the plan, but it's really not going to be able to move toward the center. If we're going to do anything like that, we would have to change the orientation of the building to where the front entrance would be facing John Smalls Parkway as opposed to the way it's oriented at this time.
Floor plan back up, please.
Service yard is right. So the service yard is facing Robert Smalls Parkway. This is the south elevation. So the service yard would be in here, okay? Right here.
Could you put the floor plan?
Put the,
So this is facing south up here. This is the service yard area. So Robert Smalls Parkway is up here. It's turned around 180, so.
I personally think that's a great idea to move that front entry to, Robert Smalls, or kind of in the corner of that Robert Smalls, and have that service yard in the back.
So flip the building 180?
flip it. Yeah.
Well, I think we're getting into some manipulations we don't
Yeah.
need to get into
Yeah.
right now. I think we've given you a lot of comments. Hopefully you've taken some notes. I guess at this point, the staff's recommendation was that we may want to just table this. I guess asking the applicant where you stand at this point, would you rather just take these comments and come back with some new information that can answer a lot of these questions and just come back as a just come back as a sketch plan review again.
I think we understand the impetus behind a lot of these comments. We would love to move forward and work directly with staff towards the next meeting, and in which we'll have everything, a refined set of full plans, all the building elevations at their current state, such that next time you see it, you can see everything, and we can talk with everything in more depth, and we can have those conversations with staff in the interim. So ideally, we'd like to move forward knowing regardless of the sketch plan, we'll still come in front of y'all again. So if at all possible, we'd love to take these recommendations, work directly with staff, and then come back as a full submittal.
There's an awful lot here on the table, and especially getting your authorization for your access road and all that, which is a pretty big deal. And I don't know, I personally don't feel comfortable with all of these comments and just letting it go forward as a sketch plan review, because I think that we've got way too many, but I'll also leave that up to the board. And does the board have any further comments?
Yes.
Why don't we give you some further comments, and then we'll turn it over to the board, and we'll go for a motion and see where we land. I can't make a motion, so I'm just emotional.
I have some questions for it. Has there been an agreement between your facility and this, what do you call it, this back
School
road?
board.
No, not with the school board, but with 4,000 Margaret, that you're going to tie into their facility and that your back road is going to be used as a pass-through and from their community?
So when that community was designed, it was designed to tee up a rear connection, in which the utilities and the road were stubbed out onto this property. And so we're taking the
This
continuation.
is no surprise.
It is no surprise. The last piece of the puzzle is the Beaufort County School District, which we've had. Correct. And we've been in front of their operations board committee, and have had multiple conversations. An easement is a lengthy process with the school district. And so we're going through that process.
Now, when you go to start work, are you going to clear cut the entire site? Or just
No.
the area where the building?
Just the proposed disturbed acreage, which is like a third of the site. We're trying to minimize the impact. And so that's why all the calculations we're only showing it an analysis of the disturbed acreage, because if we took the whole site, we'd meet everything with flying colors, and that doesn't seem like the proper way to
The
evaluate.
bioretention pond and the wet pond, are they sized for the entire site or just for this site?
Their size for just the proposed development, in which additional development would require additional. But we're doing it in a way where it would be scattered kind of throughout the site.
All right, good. And the green area up on the northwest corner near 4,000 Marguerite at the Spike Road or Transfer Road, what is the intent of that? Is that supposed to be a park or a playground or
It is not in.
a bocce court?
It is not intended to be like a utilized space. It was almost more of a dead space, and we're counting towards the open space calculations. I think a lot of the feedback we heard today, we'll still count that towards open space because that's exactly what it is. But look for opportunities to integrate more active open space throughout the site.
Something was mentioned, Chris mentioned something about the structure is going to be a prefab structure, something? Pre-constructed, pre-manufactured?
I'd love to defer to Sam, the architect, on that.
What's that all about?
So what we do is we pre-manufacture the building. It's basically put together in what's called Ubers, which is the largest thing that can travel on an 18-wheeler. It's basically put together in a plant in Alabama and driven to the site. and set with 19 modules to make up the whole building. Once the building is set in the field at the location, then they come in and they'll do what's called a stitch to connect everything up and make it all mate together to be a finished building.
Was the structure, steel stud, concrete? What are we looking at here?
Structural steel on concrete foundations.
Other questions right now?
Oh, go ahead.
I've been talking a lot. You go ahead first.
Okay. Back to the connector road. I feel that's really important. Again, it's been planned for a number of years through multi-jurisdictional planning. And I feel that we need to make sure it's a road, not a driveway. So typically for a site of this sort of magnitude, it seems that it would be wise to select a street section from the development plan. And there's a number, working with the staff, you can find one that's appropriate, whether it's either the avenue or the boulevard or what have you. And that sets out all the specifications, so we would know the travel lanes are gonna be 10 feet. There's gonna be a 6-foot planting strip. There's gonna be a sidewalk. And I would suggest on both sides of this road, because it does need to be a road. It's connecting a neighborhood of 250 apartments to a shopping center. It's beginning that connection. So we do need to be sure that it's a road that will be utilized for this project and then whatever comes next door. Again, trying to start really creating that grid pattern. On the note of access through the school district property, hopefully at the same time that's being looked at, it can be sort of discussed about that a connection over to the Walmart site. That's been discussed for 20 years to try to get the Walmart access to WK Alston to the traffic signal so that there can be more internal circulation. And so everybody isn't going out onto 170 and adding to the traffic. So ideally, you'd need to make sure that the connection from your new road will sort of connect or coordinate with the future connection from the Walmart. And to get that kind of circulation going on there, that would be a huge win. So anything I would think that the city could do to try to facilitate your road and the Walmart connection with the school district, that would be a super win for the whole community. So I think that's very important. Also go back to staff mentioned, and I really appreciate that, the issue of this multi-purpose path along Highway 170. Again, probably going back 20 years, there was something called the Robert Smalls Joint Corridor Plan. That was embraced in the county's comprehensive plan in 2010, and it showed a 15-foot multi-purpose path along both sides of 170. And that would be in an easement, and it would be located within that 50-foot buffer. Very important, again, to get the current now apartment, the 250 households there at 4,000 Marguerite back to the regional commercial node there at 170 and Paris Island Gateway. Also, we need to think about the county's, it's called Beaufort County Connects. It's the bike ped plan for Beaufort County and all its jurisdictions. It shows Highway 170 being a spine road for the regional, let's say, Greenway system. Highway 170 is also part of the East Coast Greenway. And so this 15-foot easement is really the start of that multi-purpose path along 170 to try to connect the north and south of the county with bike ped mobility. So we really need to look at that. And as staff said, that's also referenced in the development code in the Robert Smalls specific street section. So that's something that at least I will be, or we all should have to be expecting on the revised plan, that 15-foot easement within the 50-foot landscape buffer.
Thank you all. Great feedback. Very much appreciated. I do think the road section is designed for a full road. We're a landscaping strip away from adhering to an actual streetscape in the code, and so we'll be sure to reflect that
Yes.
moving forward.
Right.
We're also studying a connection of bringing that sidewalk. We're right now turning the corner up WK Alston Drive to allow safe pedestrian sidewalk for everyone that's zoned in that apartment complex to have safe walking and biking access all the way to the school's front door. We're studying the access down as well to provide it all the way to the intersection, which is currently teed up at that corner for safe interconnectivity to the Walmart, to the adjacent shopping center. And I think that right there takes you a big leap forward to providing that layer of interconnectivity that you're asking for. I do want to study the section along 170 further, especially as it relates to being within the 50-foot buffer. I think
Yeah,
there's some
yeah.
opportunity there.
And specifically, it's section C.6.26
Thank you.
is the Robert Smalls Park. Yep.
And what you could do also, whenever you're studying the street, your connection on the north sides, there was a little bit of talk about, parking. There's some street sections that has like room for like street parking, maybe on one side or both sides or something like that. The way I'm looking at this is if that is gonna be a road that's gonna be quite traveled on, that building to the north almost wants to be fronting that street.
Right.
So I'd probably lean towards that way for that building on the north, and that building on the south. I still would, my position on that one is to kind of face it on Robert Smalls or do like a corner entrance or something like that.
Agree with Benji on that.
And my only last point is that 50-foot buffer in the front there along Route 170. I would hope that when you do that, you don't leave some trees and then strip the whole thing down to bare ground as they did in front of that shopping center, which irritates me every time I drive down it. And I can't imagine being real crazy about seeing that happen again. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. And the landscape architect, Whitmer Jones Kiefer, I think has done a great job providing an abundance of plants to enhance that 50-foot buffer. But we'll be sure that we study it in particular detail to make sure that's addressed.
And I think Libby's point of that new access road being connected to the Walmart is, I tried to get that done years ago also, just like Libby did. But now that we have the apartments on one end, the Walmart on the other end, and then your facilities with whatever else is in the middle, it becomes a very strong connector piece to have all those all those potential amenities along that, as opposed to having them have to go all the way down to 170 and get on that major thoroughfare. It makes it much more attractive. Any other comments? I'll take a discussion from the board about what board would like to do, whether you'd like to, the board can table this if they want to.
Well, it's kind of interesting because we're really not approving anything. The whole purpose of
No, we're not
whole
approving
purpose of the
anything,
sketch. So Kurt, if we don't,
Not approving everything, but I think the challenge here is that, and I think he stated that they submitted something on Friday for the next planning commission, but I think our challenge here is that we're seeing a self-contained site plan, whereas we're wanting an integrated site. And that's the central issue, and I don't see any difference in that plan that was submitted on Friday. And so I think, we're trying to give them information so they can go forward in the future. And I think, our recommendation is that, I think the conceptual level, how this site is going to interplay with each other and the community still has not been resolved, and how the buildings, et cetera, are going to integrate with this entire site and the transportation. I think those have not been resolved. And I think, we would not suggest moving to the next stage of site plan until there's some improvement on that. I think that's kind of where staff is at, if that makes some sense. So maybe they could come back here, or if they can, work on all the things that you've discussed. That's what I'd recommend. Or if you have additional things about, the interconnectivity, that kind of thing, I think we need to give them as much information as they can so they can work on it. Right. So.
So perhaps we get a master plan for the entire site as well.
Yeah, I think that's the whole goal of the sketch plan is it's a master plan and we don't have
Don't
one.
have the
I
whole
think
site
that's the challenge is, but if we don't have one, what can we plan conceptually? If this is owned by the same entity and it's going to be a medical facility, do we at least have some idea how we integrate those lots or potential lots in the future?
But it's still one owner, is that what was?
Yeah, this is all owned by Novant, by the applicant. So I think that's what we're asking for, I think, is just to, how does this meet our code? How does this meet the future plan and the civic, as Christopher was stating? And how will the future of this meet that? Because right now they've provided the spine road, which is obviously a big benefit to the community, but that is the only interconnectivity and planning I think we're seeing on this site right now. It's all self-contained, right? So that's the challenge. So, yeah.
One thing I heard, hinting at what the rest of that site might end up being used for, the term medical assets was used. That could mean a lot of different things. And I don't know if there's any precedent in terms of other developments of this nature. That maybe start with a freestanding emergency department and a patient care clinic, and then next thing you know, the rest of the site has a new hospital on it, or, whatever. What it would be of interest to me to know what kind of medical assets you were thinking about might go in there in the future.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's probably a little bit too early to speculate in terms of that. I think what we need to do is kind of look at the demand, what we're seeing in terms of who's coming through the hospitals and in the emergency department there. We had talked about putting a medical office building, but again, that's kind of a little bit of a general term as far as adding specialty clinics, imaging centers, things like that. But again, as the community grows, we need to always look at that demand. So yes, it could be a number of things. I think what we need to do is maybe come back with, maybe a master plan, as you alluded to, or some other options, or just what they could look like. But again, it's really unfortunately too early to tell from our perspectives.
Well, I'm open from the board if anybody wants to table this, or we'll close the meeting one way or the other.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we table the application and pending a master plan for the entire site. We look forward to seeing that and focus on interconnectivity and having buildings facing Robert Smalls Parkway and also perhaps buildings facing that new street.
Okay.
Libby, would you accept an amendment to, since we didn't get the elevations and then we heard today that they're sort of works in progress, if we could get some updated elevations, particularly addressing the Low Country vernacular.
That makes sense.
Any other comments or a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. And it passes. We'll table this until our next discussion and look forward to seeing you again. Don't want to discourage you.
We're good as well.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on to our meeting schedule for this board that was provided in your packet. I have to find it. Does anybody have any changes or modifications to that meeting schedule?
I just wanted to point out, and it's fine with me, but the 2 January and February, the regular meeting date is on federal holidays. So it's been moved, but it's moving to a Wednesday, not a Tuesday. Somehow in my mind, I guess I came up with it was going to move one day, but it's moving to Wednesday in both January and February. So just be aware.
That probably reflects other meetings that are taking place in this building.
It does, yeah, it does.
City council meets on Tuesdays, I believe.
Yes, they do.
No.
And they're, does that work for you from your standpoint? You can make the Wednesday, yeah. Usually Wednesdays are the free day. That's why.
Just wanted to make sure everybody got that.
Well, it's Wednesday, it's on the screen, January 21st and February 18th, because they're being rescheduled for Martin Luther King and President's Day. Those will work, okay.
Are we gonna be having work sessions?
Yes, and that's why,
That's the next item on the agenda.
next item, because does this schedule look good? And I don't think you have to vote on it, it's just
Everybody
you-
look,
if it doesn't look good, then we should probably vote on it and change the schedule.
I'm fine with the schedule.
I'm fine with the schedule too. Looks good.
Okay, so we'll move forward with that schedule. Let's talk about the work sessions. And do we want to go ahead and just schedule them for the whole year now, like we did last year?
That's fine. The only thing I was gonna state is January 5th might be a good idea to schedule at a different day, just because I think everybody's gonna be on vacation the week before that, so
What's
having
our
a time.
date for our trip to Habersham?
Oh, that's, the 15th,
the 15th at
That's a-
12 o'clock.
the third Thursday. Because the first is a Thursday, so
And so I was just wondering if we could reschedule the 5th, just because that would be the first Monday right after New Year's, and we're probably gonna have a hard time getting a packet and everything ready for you, since I think we're all on vacation.
Do you want to move it to the
Consultants are
seventh?
on vacation, so we're all, because we're doing architecture, that makes it difficult.
You want to move it to the seventh?
Well, I was kind of thinking the next week, if you had time on the next week and Sean had time the next Monday.
That's
That would
fine.
work.
There a slide with proposed dates or not?
I'm sorry.
that would be the.
No, we didn't have the work session dates because they're not, I just didn't think to do that. It's my fault.
Well, can we do the standard, the first Monday of each month, except for January?
I just want to make sure we have a good packet for you, so that makes some sense. So it'd be the 12th if you did that.
Well, I understand that for January, but
We have the trip to Habersham. Can't we use that as a work session and start
Start in February,
part
maybe?
of February?
I mean, you could if you want to.
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Um,
So
I have a request about our work sessions. They're like the redheaded stepchild of the city meetings. Can we get them
That's why.
on, publicized, just like all the other city meetings are? Just like city council work sessions are.
have we straightened that out yet?
We'll try again. We'll try again. It's a good time for us to remind for the new year that it'd be scheduled in. So it's a good comment, both of you.
Because it's
Probably remember that.
so helpful to have citizen input at the work sessions. And if they don't know about them, they don't come.
So if you're okay with the first Monday of every month, and I think that doesn't conflict with any holidays, so we can do that except for, I guess it'd be January 15th, and then January 15th, we'll send out a packet, and we can always maybe talk to the Habersham people if there's like someplace we could meet for just an hour or something to go over the packet, or not if you don't want to.
I'm good for the first Monday of every month, starting, everybody else starting in February.
I am too.
All right, so first Monday of every month, starting February,
At what time?
Except
1
September.
o'clock.
1 o'clock still.
Okay.
September 7th, the first Monday, Labor Day.
Oh, yes, September 7th. That's a good point. So that'll have to be September 14th. Would that work for everybody? Would be the following Monday?
That's the only exception.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Board meetings. Planning work session. I think we've covered everything on our agenda. I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Go home?
So
Oh,
moved.
second.
Yeah, I can.
Motion and a second. Everybody in favor, raise their right hand, and we're adjourned. Thank